is Scott Grist. I am going to show you how to make cordage today, specifically out of milkweed. So I believe that you've seen a couple or one lesson on milkweed about its relationship with the monarch butterfly, but there's also much more to the plant that I'm going to show you here today. So um, these are examples of what I call cordage, or you could just call it rope, but it's actually kind of like a primitive rope because these ropes were made out of plant materials. It's very similar to milkweed, and this one I'm holding right here is actually milkweed. Um, so a long time ago, before people had machines to make rope, they actually made it by hand by twisting it in their fingers. So um, this is what milkweed looks like once it's gone through its whole life cycle and it drops all its leaves and its seeds, and it's just left sticking out of the ground just like this. And around the late summer and fall time, you want to harvest them, because if you wait too long, they'll get rained on by all the winter rains and they start to deteriorate. So the best time to harvest them is after they've dropped their seeds, because you want them to spread their seeds. You don't want to harvest them too soon because you're taking away the chance that that plant will reproduce. And especially with native plants like milkweed, we want them to reproduce and not stifle their growth. So once you harvest the stalk like this, you actually can snap it in your fingers because it's so dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap this thing all the way up until you hear it snap the whole way. And what this does is it allows me to separate the inside woody material from the outer fibers, which are the strong part that I'm going to make the rope out of. So I'm going to split it directly in half here into two pieces, and I'll set that one aside for now. But here you can see the inside is the white woody part, and I need to separate these. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see these really stringy fibers coming off of this. Those are the strong fibers that are going to make your rope. This is actually a bracelet I made today out of this very milkweed, so it's very strong, and I'm going to show you once I remove the fibers from this how strong it really is. So in order to remove the fibers from the stalk, I'm going to break it, and then you don't want to just pull the fibers off because they'll start to break, and you want to get it in one long continuous piece. It's going to end up looking something like this. So these are the fibers that I removed earlier today from a couple pieces. So you want the entire piece to be all in one piece, because that way when you're twisting it, you don't have to splice as much. If you wanted to make a piece of rope longer than this, you'd have to start splicing in pieces, which we can do. But to make a bracelet, you really only need that much. So back to where I've broken it. I crack it, but the fibers are still connected. So I broke the woody parts off, and I'm going to just slowly pull those woody parts away from those fibers, and now I have just those fibers showing. And then I'm going to do that the whole way down. So you can see there, now it's just the fibers, and I'm just slowly breaking about 3 inches or so at a time of the woody material off. Just because if you try and do too much at one time, it can rip and break your strand. So I'll try and just finish this quickly so I can show you how we're going to twist it up. And these woody pieces you could use for firewood kindling, or you can just toss them, compost them. So I learned this from working at a wilderness survival school on the East Coast. I was learning all the ways to survive in the wilderness without any modern tools. So I learned many skills that were used by Native Americans. So this was actually the #1 plant that was used for making rope with the Native Americans in our area, the Maidu. This is the strongest plant material that we have out of all of our native plants. So all the lashings and ropes and a lot of bowstrings and anything that required rope was really made from milkweed. So this is a very important plant to the history of our area. And it also has so many other cool things that you've already learned about, like the relationship with the monarch butterfly. So this is just adding another really cool thing you can do with milkweed to your list. So now I've removed that whole piece. So this is it, all in one strand. But if you look at this, it doesn't seem very strong. You would think that it wouldn't be able to make a very strong rope. And if I take just a tiny piece and pull on it, it breaks. But once you twist it with this ancient reverse wrap method, it strengthens it many times over, and I'm going to show you how it does that. So I'm going to layer that one I just did with a couple others that I already removed earlier today to show you. You can make them of any thickness also. I could have made a rope out of just one of these strands. It would still be strong enough not to break if I tugged on it, but it would be very thin. You know, it might come out as thin as this. But I'm going to layer it up a little bit just so you can see it a little better and so it'll be stronger. So I'm going to layer them all equally like this on each other, and I'm going to find the middle point. If we were going to go longer than this, I would offset them like this, so then when you got to this end you can splice here, and it makes it stronger. If you end up splicing both of them at the same time, it'll make it weak in that spot. But we're just going to make a bracelet of this length, so I'm going to start in the middle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it and I'm going to just twist it. Just twist it in between my fingers, and you know when you twist something like that enough and then you push it together, it makes a little loop. So see how it did that naturally when I pushed it together? It made a loop right there. You can see there's the loop. So when it makes that loop, I'm going to pinch that with my left hand if you're right-handed. And now we have two pieces, and these are the two pieces you're going to weave together. Now this is one of the oldest, it is the oldest technique for wrapping plant fibers into rope or cordage. So this is an ancient human technique. Before there was basket weaving, before there was knitting or any other kind of weaving, this was done by humans. So it's a very old technique, and that proves that it works and it's very strong. So starting with the top piece, I'm going to twist it away from me, and then I'm going to bring it towards me. And as I bring the top piece towards me, I'm going to bring the bottom one up. And now the bottom one is on the top, and the top one's on the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So then I'm going to take that top one, I'm going to twist it away from me, nice and tight while I'm pinching with my left hand, twist it away from me, and then pull it towards me as I'm bringing the bottom one up to the top. And I'm going to do a couple quick passes at this, and then I'm going to show you the results. So the more you practice, the faster you can get at this, and even as fast as I'm going right now would be considered slow to certain tribes that did this on a regular basis, that made these ropes and developed these relationships with these plants from an early age. So they were masters at it, but we don't have to be. This method is called the reverse wrap, and that's because you're twisting it one way and then you're wrapping it the other way. So you're wrapping it in reverse of the way you're twisting it. And that allows it to not unravel. If you just take the fibers and twist them up, they're just going to unravel. They're not going to hold tight. So the purpose of this method of this reverse wrap is so each twist grabs onto itself and holds, so it will never unravel. There's even a method some people prefer, instead of pinching it with your hand, is actually holding it in your mouth and twisting the pieces at the same time while you do this. And this replicates more what the rope machine does, is it twists these both at the same time and then turns them like this. But I prefer the pinch method. I'm able to go faster that way, but some people may, their hands may get tired, or they just may like to do the mouth version better. There's also another version where you do it on your leg, and you can hold this tight and you twist these and pull it as it goes, and that's another tribal method also. But again, the hand method seems to be the best for me. So as you can see, I've almost, in this little amount of time, already made the length that you would need to make a bracelet. So let me just make it a little bit longer so I can tie it off. So that looks like about the right length for a bracelet. So what I'm going to do now is just tie a nice knot in the end here, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can actually just put all these together, wrap it around your finger, and just tie one big knot in the end. And that's going to be how you're going to secure it to your hand in the end. It's a little ugly, but alright, so now I have this super strong rope, and I can't even break it. That's how strong this is. And if you squeeze it, it's almost hard like a rock. So extremely strong fibers. It can hold a lot of weight. It would be cool to do different thicknesses of these and then actually test them with pulling on them or hanging heavy things from them to see how much weight this could actually hold, because this could easily just be harvested from right around here in the park and create this rope. So since I started at the end here, when I originally made that little twist and it created a loop, I'm going to open that loop right now at the very end, and then I'm going to take that knot that I tied in the end of this and I'm going to put it through there, and that's going to kind of act as a little button to hold on to that. My knot came undone a little bit. So now I have a little slip knot, so you can make it tighter or looser, and there we go. This is a milkweed bracelet, super strong rope material made from a native plant growing nearby.